read this, and welcome to the Quaranteen Podcast, Season 2. My name is Athena. If you are new here, then, hello. Sorry, intros are always, kind of hard for me to do. But yes, Quaranteen Podcast Season 2, that means there is a whole other season, that you can go listen to, in that season. It's much different than what this season is going to be. I interviewed my friends, and I just talked to them about how the pandemic and everything has affected them. We had some really interesting conversations that kind of spurred out of that, so you can go check that out if you want. The link is, in the description if you want to check it out. I don't know. I'm kind of rusty, honestly. It's been like a few months, maybe more, since I last uploaded a podcast. I used to do it every week. It was 20 episodes. Now, let me check. It's been about 3 months since I last made a podcast. That doesn't seem like that long of a time, and it kind of feels like more. Kind of feels like it was a little longer than just that, when I last made the podcast. But, time doesn't exist now, right? Okay, for Season 2, the reason I'm making a Season 2 is because I said, why did I say it? But I said, that if quarantine lasts more than a year, I'll make a Season 2. And, currently it is March 7th. And so it's almost been a year since quarantine. For me, that date is January, March 12th. So that's the day this video is out. Hopefully today is where you're listening to it. That'll be good. Yeah, okay. So with this episode, I'm not using Zoom, this season I'm not using Zoom. You can kind of tell, hopefully, that the quality changed a little bit with the camera and audio quality. I hope my camera's here, my mic's here. So hopefully it works out. I'm also going to be editing the podcast. I don't know if you can tell. Let's see. If I didn't, then shame on me. Oh my gosh, I just moved the mic. That was a mistake. The key differences with this season compared to last season is that a lot of things, but this podcast will now be bi-weekly instead of weekly. I'm currently a sophomore in college, so kind of making it weekly is kind of difficult if I'm choosing to edit it as well, and just kind of do more than just film it on Zoom. Also, there's not going to be any guests every week, or bi-weekly, but not that many guests. The idea for the Quarantine Podcast came to me, and it was only going to be about 4 episodes, me interviewing 3 of my friends. Well, the first episode was me by myself, just talking about my experience, and kind of my biggest takeaways. That was like a few months, possibly into the pandemic. And then I interviewed my friend Glory, she's an essential worker. Then I interviewed my friend Jackie, who had COVID. Then I interviewed my friend Matthew, who was the class of 2020. And then from there, it kind of skyrocketed. Not really, but it kind of just grew from just those 4 episodes into 20. Because I had some friends be like, hey, I want to do it if you want. And I'm like, yeah, of course, yeah. And towards the end, it was kind of more so me asking my friends instead of my friends willing to do it. And it's so awkward to hit up your friends, especially now when well, now maybe not so much, but you're losing friends left and right, sorry to say, So, yeah. It's not going to be any guests every week. That's not really going to be the draw to it. It's more so me just going to be talking about the news and stuff. Hopefully not that boring, but I don't know. I have some interesting stuff in general and interesting topics. This episode is, of course, 1 year later, and I will get into that a little bit later, and we can kind of talk about it. Yes, this is only me talking for the most part, but it is a dialogue, so I would like for you, if you can, email me. I gotta get better at plugging the email. It's athenarethispodcasts@gmail.com, AthenaRethispodcasts@gmail.com. I think I said it right. It's my name with podcast. I don't know how I could get it wrong, but I have before, and I probably will. Okay, I just changed the lighting a bit because I'm filming around like 4. It's like 4-ish, so the light kind of changes as the sun goes down. Ish. So, yeah. Also, I just got to say that my chair is very noisy, and I found that out like a minute before filming. And I'm kind of upset, but I'll probably get a new chair. But it's the first episode. Cut me some slack. So yeah, kind of the other major changes, you can probably tell, either by hearing it or seeing it, that it's not on Zoom. So that's good. I already kind of mentioned that. And also there's music for the intro a little bit, and for the outro. I'm kind of like playing with that a bit. So yeah. I do want to have like different segments in the podcast, but kind of a lot of them come from like the listeners, you guys. It's so hard to like call you whatever you are, because like right now it's just me, a girl in a room talking to a camera and slowly falling apart for it. Yeah. Okay, also, I just gotta say, if anyone's wondering, I am filming with my Nikon, oh god, I think it's called like N650? Something like that. I don't know, I see it right there. 5600, ooh, And then I'm also filming with my Blue Yeti Mini, or Blue Yeti Nano, and I'm filming the audio on Soundtrap, so that's cool. I got Soundtrap, maybe I'll talk about like how I got Soundtrap a little bit later, but yeah, it's cool. It's with Spotify, so, and you can also listen to the podcast on Spotify. I distribute the podcast through Anchor, so you can go check it out. Also, just for anyone's information, I'm not like making money off of this. There's like a way to make money and kind of do ad reads, but that's not the reason I'm necessarily doing this. And the reason I was so against it for season 1 was I was kind of like, it could be like using my friends for money if I were to set that up, but by them just telling their stories, I just felt so yucky about it. So in season 2, I know it's like a different angle at the same podcast with just me. Maybe I'll bring on some of my guests, and if you want to be a guest in the podcast, you have like a perspective that you want to bring to like quarantine and everything, email me, please. Yeah, so not that many guests. And that's why I'm not making money off of this, and that's why there's no ads per se, because I could do like a read for an ad, and I'm not gonna do that as of now. Unless there's like, I will do that only if I do need money. The only probably reason I would be to get a car. I just gotta say, when like people are 16 and like they get a car and they have their license, being honest, I don't have my license. I'm trying to get it, kind of. Like, I put it off. I have been putting it off so much because there's no need for me to get a car, really. Like, I live. But, the places that I go to, well, especially now, it doesn't feel like there should be a need, because, like, I'm still staying home. And if you're not staying home. Also, I just realized I was looking at the viewfinder this whole entire time. I am so sorry if that's kind of annoying. Would you rather me look at you like this? I don't think so. I don't know. Oh, I hope my focus is working. Yeah. I don't know. A lot on my mind. But the only reason I would, like, make money off of this is to save up for a car. But, no. I'm good. Season 2, also the new art with it. I kind of like it. I mean, I made it, so I'm kind of biased. But I like it because the first season was orange, and then what's opposite of orange, or whatever the art people will tell you, blue, I don't want to think about it because my brain's kind of dying. Yeah, so let's get into this topic more so. It's been a year of quarantine. Sorry, my chair. It's been a year of quarantine. A lot a lot has happened. I don't really want to cover all the politics stuff. I more so want to point out one specific thing and just drag it out. If you want like a recap to 2020, I mean, like, hopefully you're listening to this like when it comes out, but like, let's say someone happens to be listening to this in a few years, just watch Death to 2020 on Netflix. I mean, I'm not, okay, we'll get into that, but that's just, that's a pretty decent recap. I mean, a lot of stuff happened in 2020. A lot. So, yeah, oh, it's 2021, Happy New Year. Am I too late with that? Nothing really happened. Well, that's a lie. I think a lot happened, but I think just nothing matters anymore. Sounds bad. But I started taking an improv class, so I have to like look at the news, and like each week, insanity. One big thing that I think, not big, but I think Kanye and Kim are splitting up, which is like kind of crazy. And the whole thing with Meghan Markle and Oprah is tonight. And then what's also interesting is like SAG now is including influencers, which is like, oh my gosh. I don't know. I have people that are very divided on that, but I am kind of for it. I don't know. I mean, obviously me doing YouTube, obviously a sense of me wants to be an influencer. I don't know. I watch Fake Famous. That's also another thing. And that's also crazy. So I don't know. I think it's good. I think more people can get healthcare is good, you know? I mean, healthcare shouldn't be so expensive as it is. Anyway, this is not politics. Not yet. No, okay, Death to 2020. I just gotta say that's a weird name for it. Really weird name for Netflix to, anyway. I think they could have done something more of a play on words with like COVID over. I don't know. Maybe that's not that good. This is why I'm not working for Netflix. Not now, yet. Tell me if you've seen Death to 2020 and kind of your thoughts, because I know people are also very divided on that as well. I just think this is a very divided time, you know? I think just people in general are divided, you know? I'm on Letterboxd a lot. Follow me there. I'm trying to watch more films as a film student. And I don't know. I really like Tom and Jerry. But a lot of people didn't. And I feel like that's not okay, but also I feel like the need to be like, I can't give it 5 stars. Gotta give it like 2.5. I think I actually gave it lower. It doesn't matter. I don't know. I think I'm just more so now going with what everyone else is saying, because forming an opinion doesn't really matter in the terms of those types of movies. Not in general. Of course not. But I spend time thinking about what I'm gonna rate stuff like Tom and Jerry. You know? Like, what am I doing? That's been my life since the Quarantine Podcast has ended. I've gotten really into Letterboxd. Okay, let's start with January. January, I watched 40 films, because, winter break, but a lot of these are short films. I'm a kind of a short film fanatic. No one has given me that title. I just took it because why not? Yeah, so I started off watching 2 comedy specials in January, then Death to 2020, then the Netflix After Party. Okay, I like David Spade. But the Netflix After Party, not that good. Like, I watch a lot of Netflix. I think Netflix is one of the leading streaming services just because I think it kind of, like, started the whole streaming wars. I really like Netflix. But I think the Netflix After Party, trash. Like, I wasted my time watching that. But it's fine. And then I ended it off. I got HBO Max in January. I think that was the biggest thing for me. I would maybe recommend it. I know if you have Spectrum. Oh my god, Spectrum had power outages. That was crazy. But if you have Spectrum, I don't know what plan, but you also get HBO Max, so that's good. And Paramount Plus just, like, launched. And I'm trying to get it, but also, like, I'm kind of over it. Like, more so my mom is, because she's the one who's paying for it. So maybe I might make this podcast maybe you might make some money from this podcast to get Paramount Plus. Probably not. There's a student discount for Paramount Plus, by the way. I think it's 25% off or something. Maybe 15, 25 or 15. I don't know. I might get that. I might convince my mom. Yeah. Give it a like if you want me to get Paramount Plus. I think I only want it to watch Nickelodeon stuff, because also they're doing an iCarly reboot. Crazy. So that's good, I think. Yeah, okay, so that's kind of like what you can follow me on Letterboxd to see exactly what I specifically watched in January. February, I watched 30 films. Some of them were short films, I gotta say. This is where I watched Fake Famous, and I watched the American Pie series. Not the whole. Also, American Pie is 11 movies, I think. 11 or 9, I kind of forget every time I keep talking about it. But I think the American Pie movies were just a good way to end February. Because I started school, obviously, maybe not obviously, but I started school in January, and this is like week 7 or so into into quarantine. So, yeah. Quarantine, what am I saying? Sorry, it's like week 7 into the semester. So kind of just going over the weekend, just watching 4 American Pie movies in a row. Great decompressor, honestly. Would recommend. Kind of the sad part about using this and not Zoom is that my DSLR kind of dies after 20 minutes. Doesn't die, it stops recording after 20 minutes. So I gotta pause and start, and that's why I'm also editing as well, because of those kind of hiccups that happen along the way. So the next thing I kind of want to talk about is Among Us. Towards the end of the first season, last season, technically both, right? Among Us was kind of growing, and I find that Among Us now is just maintained popularity or even grown. Corpse. Do you guys know who Corpse is? His whole presence, especially on Twitter, is known. I even watch his live stream sometimes. He's entertaining, so that's good. But I think with me, kind of my point is that Among Us is kind of the new Minecraft. Even though Minecraft is still relevant, it just, for me, when I was younger, I used to watch Minecraft videos when I eat. More specifically, those are kind of my decompressors for the day. That's probably why I don't watch that many movies, because I'm watching Among Us videos with the whole kind of people that play with Corpse, or the Hafu gang. I'm not sure of their names, but I know the people's names, but I'm not sure the clubs of sorts, what they're called. But I watch Sykkuno, Foosley, that's Leslie, Hafu, Wolfabell. People like those, yeah, I watch them a lot when I eat, so that's shout out to them. But I find as I was saying, in middle school, kind of more so that's when I was consuming a lot of that content, and I think that content I don't know, it's interesting. Now I'm 19, and I'm kind of doing what my 14-year-old self did, and I feel with the pandemic, we might be retreating back into obviously hibernation of not going out more, but more so kind of going down the rabbit hole of sorts. Man, I really make weird hand gestures, so this is fun if you're watching this. Yeah, I don't know, just Among Us and the whole thing is great. I actually stopped playing it that much and kind of more so consume content for it, which I think is interesting. Kind of the reverse happened with me for Minecraft. I was so loved watching Minecraft, Preston Plays, Lachlan, just the pack in general, if you know them, Wolfles, and Beijing Canadian in particular, watched their content. Never had Minecraft on my computer. I only had the PE, Pocket Edition, and played that a lot, but I don't know. Now with Among Us, I played a bunch, and then you get into it. I think that with Minecraft, and maybe also with Among Us, I think maybe talk about it in the comments if you want. But kind of the draw of Minecraft was kind of like the creator, the kind of the aspect of Minecraft, like with Hunger Games or Money Wars, stuff like that, or like Skyblock. That kind of drives it. But I think with Among Us per se, it's more so like the game mode as well, like the gesture mod or the morphling more specifically, like more recently as of now. So I think that's also very interesting. And I think it's less so about the specific creators in general. Man, I'm talking like this is a Colin and Samir podcast, analyzing a game. But I think it's interesting to kind of analyze the creator space and the creator community. I spend myself watching a bunch of videos on that just because I'm interested and fascinated, because this is kind of an industry that I clearly am interested. I don't really know why. I think it's just because as people want to be creators. Maybe if you watch Fake Famous, you could also, I don't know. But I think it just seems like they seem, can't even form a sentence. They seem like they have the ideal job, but with every job, I feel like there's like ups and downs. But I think more so creators and specifically influencers, we don't see the downsides. Especially social media is just so positive that we don't see like the hardships that they make, and probably it's not, maybe guessing, I don't know, not that many, but I still think it's more work than what we think. Like, oh, I just gotta take a photo every day and that's it. I don't know. I have no experience. I'm just talking out of my brain. Actually, my mouth, but I don't know. I've just been thinking about it. Someone's using a leaf blower or weed whacker of some sort, so that's fun. Sorry if you can hear it. I can't control my neighbors. I think that's also another thing, part of this whole environment. Okay, big news. The vaccine. Maybe it was a thing back then. I don't know. As I said, time doesn't exist, and I for sure don't remember time, and this is why I'm kind of making this podcast. So in a couple years, I can be laughing at this, me forgetting everything, and being like, But yeah, the vaccine, I haven't gotten it, but some of my friends have, and I was thinking if you peeps want, I could bring one of my friends on and talk about the vaccine. I am for the vaccine. I'm not anti-vaxxer. No. I took a biology class, okay, and we talked about anti-vaxxers, and that was very funny to just read about in biology, and my teacher was like, don't be an anti-vaxxer, and we learned about the herd immunity and other stuff. I kind of forgot, it's biology. So vaccine, there's many of them, I think, a lot of vaccines, and all of them confuse me, but, I think I'm going to get Pfizer if I can. I'm not sure when I can. Also, I hear signing up for the vaccine can be a challenge in and of itself, but my family's kind of the notion of getting my grandfather vaccinated, trying to get him set up before we even think about ourselves. I don't know, the point is I might bring on a friend who got the vaccine, or I might just wait until I also get vaccinated and also bring them on to kind of destigmatize the whole thing. Because I'm not the best person when it comes to taking shots. Any type of shots. No, not like, but I do feel for people that are scared with this. This is honestly the biggest stakes of them all, life or death. But I do think that we should trust science. A lot of people don't, which is a whole other thing. But, I get not coming from not a place of ignorance and more so of a place of not knowing when being worrisome about the vaccine. But I am for it, and I encourage you to also be for it. But I get that people just are scared. So I do want to kind of use my platform, even though it may be small, to do things like this to kind of destigmatize the whole process and to spread awareness of it. I think that's what a good influencer does. See, trying to make things connect full circle. I'm getting tips on how to podcast. I was kind of nervous. I remembered about redoing season 2 in February, and I was like, oh my god. Did I really say that I would do it again? Why did I do that? But I'm actually excited that because the first time doing it, I kind of stepped out of my comfort zone, and that's kind of what the quarantine kind of been like for me. Even though we're all kind of turtling, I've been trying to go outside more, but I haven't been outside, but not, you know what I mean. I should go outside more. Yeah, you're right. But there's this podcast, I think, called Pod School. And I think it would be an interesting segment to kind of talk about the tips that I've learned. I think I saw 1 or 2 podcasts. It was only 7 minutes, and this girl, she's great. She gives tips. So here's just 3 things I picked up from Pod School. Maybe I'll leave it down below if you want to check it out, if you're also looking to start your own podcast. I think it'd be funny just to see what she's saying and how I'm kind of not doing any of them, which might be my downfall. But anyway, so the first episode I got, well, it's a show, so treat it like one. So the podcast is a show, so you gotta be kind of, performing in a way. And the second tip is performing. I've been going to doing acting for, oh gosh, I kind of started acting 4 years ago, but I just did high school theater, and I don't think that necessarily counts. I think it more so kind of starts off with, it kind of lights a fire in you, but you're not truly acting at that point. I barely think that even now I'm really acting. I do method technique with the school I go to now. So that's where I think I'm beginning my process of acting. But, performing, you have to act and stuff. But I think it's also kind of important to not put on a facade when doing a podcast, because it's like you're making a movie, kind of. I think Whitney Cummings, I'm going to keep quoting comedians and musicals throughout this whole entire podcast. Kind of Whitney Cummings, I believe, I could be misquoting, that happens, time doesn't exist, right? Neither does my memory. So I think she said that a podcast is a lazy person's conversation. I think I listen to a decent amount of podcasts, probably not as much as I should. I don't know, same thing with movies, we always wish we had more time. But I think that's true, and it's also a performance as well. So, but I think it's kind of streaming in the way that your audience, it can be passive, but passive can also lead to leaving as well. If you're listening to something and you're this movie sucks, turn it off. We're fighting for attention with all these different things. I think it's really important to keep in mind is that it's a passive conversation, but they have to first be interested, and why do they stick around? I don't know anyone would stick around for this, but I just hope so. I'm kind of building my confidence to speak for a long time, to get more comfortable in front of a camera, to be able to have genuine thoughts and things. I think I have genuine thoughts, but I don't know. Have an articulate, cohesive sentence that makes sense and that people can relate to and understand, and yeah, I don't know. I think it's just good practice. Everyone start a podcast. Maybe not everyone. If you don't want to, then don't do it. But I've been thinking about it for a long, long, long time. I don't know, Lauren Lapkus, if you know who that is. She's from Orange is the New Black, Big Bang Theory. She does so many. It's hard to think of things but she has 3 or 4 podcasts, which I think is interesting. Also, one of my inspirations is also Grace Helbig. There's an episode of the Quarantine Podcast season 1 where I talk about me taking singing lessons, and I think that has also helped me kind of understand my voice more so, and kind of my need to understand how to use it properly to not hurt myself. So that's good. And I completely changed topics. The next thing on the pod school is to change your voice into hey guys, da-da-da. The family vloggers are all oh my god guys, blah 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 blah. That's not really me. I'm more chill. I'm more making kind of witty jokes, witty-ish jokes. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that really applies to me, but I hope to be more engaging, and I gotta play with the levels of things. I'm kind of learning that in voice class, but also that's kind of too theory. I think a podcast, I'm a huge fan of musical theater and stand-up, as you will probably hear if you continue to listen to this podcast. But I think podcast is a different aspect to you. We're all onions, as Shrek has taught us. Many layers. Many layers. And I feel like podcasting is another layer. It kind of if I had to make a bubble diagram, it kind of falls in between stand-up and a normal conversation with your friend. It's I would prefer to have random strangers listen to this. So that's kind of the stand-up aspect. But then you're also being really genuine with yourself, which can be a mix of both, a Venn diagram of both. But then also it's you're putting yourself out there and you are just going for it, which I think is, again, I guess for both. I don't know what I'm talking about. I need to be more confident. I for sure don't know what I'm talking about. The last thing I kind of wanted to talk about, kind of debate, let's discuss. Please put in the comments. It's so awkward just talking to my camera and not having if you are listening to this, you are now obligated by law. It's a new law I'm making up. No, let's do a pinky promise right now. You have to respond. You have to just comment or something. I don't know. Email me. I forgot to keep mentioning my email. Okay, if you have true big thoughts about this, when was the day that quarantine happened? Obviously, I think this depends on your perception and your location. I live in the Valley in Los Angeles, California, United States. I was gonna go bigger, but I think it's not even a joke. I think that the day of quarantine was March 12th. You might not agree. You might not even care. But I think you should care for this reason. This is obviously going to be in history books. There'll probably be on Kindles, whatever. I can't say words anymore. But I think everyone's gonna be yeah, March. But I think the specific day isn't as important, but it will be when we tell our kids, if we choose to have kids, or we tell other people about this that weren't around or they forgot about this whole quarantine thing. I would encourage you to try to think back about it. I started a journal beginning of the year, and I stopped right as quarantine hit. So that was very funny. I should have kept it up. That'd have been priceless in 5 years, maybe. So, I think March 12th. So March 11th, I believe that was a Wednesday. And I remember that it was kind of sus because I had my linguistics midterm that day. I had class in the morning. I had my 8 a.m. at 8 a.m. It was my 210 CTVA. I'm taking. Also, if you are very dedicated to me in this podcast, you can start counting how many times I say CTVA if you want to make that a thing. Also, I might make a Reddit for this depending on how many fans we get, okay? And also, another thing you want to keep track of is how many times I put on my chapstick. Yes, that is a visual thing if you want to do both. If you're not listening to the podcast, just ignore it. Anyway, it was my CTVA 210 class in the morning, and my linguistics class was at 2 p.m. 2 p.m. So that was pretty chill, but I remember I had a midterm, but my professor emailed us that morning, but I couldn't see it because I was in my CTVA class, and I didn't want to be on my phone because I'm a good student. So I didn't check the email till I got out of class, and I live not that far away from campus, and my dad works the same campus I go to school at, so it was nice. And he was coming home for lunch, and I was like, Dad, my class got canceled. Can you just take me home? Because my professor, I guess, got some emails. Hold for plane. But my professor got some emails saying oh my gosh, I'm scared. I have COVID. I don't want to come to class. And at that point, I thought wow, these pussies. I'm just kidding. I was actually really happy. But I do know people that kind of thought that, especially because Like, I know some people that, obviously, transportation, so they had to probably, like, wake up at 5 a.m. to get there by 11 a.m. for on campus. Maybe, I don't know. But, I don't know. I just remember, like, in the group chat, it was kind of like, oh. But I think in the end, everyone was kind of more so happy that we could just go home and take the midterm whenever we wanted. So I got home around, like, 11, 12, took the midterm, thought nothing of it. This is around, like, now. This is a year ago. I mean, obviously, it's a year in quarantine. But, like, I have midterms next week. So I gotta be like, and send everyone home that day. Well, Thursday, I was like, oh my gosh. So it was Wednesday night, and I was, like, studying for because I had another midterm Thursday morning at 8 a.m. Or not, 9:30, actually. And I was like, oh my gosh, do I have to go to school tomorrow or not? Because just that Wednesday felt so unreal that, like, normally, I mean, college campus had a lot of people, but it kind of just felt like, you know, like, sometimes, like, the day before a holiday, like, no one really shows up to school, kind of felt like that. I was like, oh, what holiday's coming up? And it's like, none, like, COVID day. I don't know. I can't think of anything. But so my teacher emailed us that night, being like, don't come to school. You take your final online, and, like, my teacher doesn't really know Canvas, I don't think. Sorry to say. Sorry for listening. So that was very interesting to kind of have that shift of, like, professors kind of having to adapt. And I really feel for professors now. Maybe I'm biased because my grandfather was a professor for many years. Thankfully, he's not now. I say thankfully because I would be his tech support. And I just, oh my God. I think it was the 12th. Because that's the day where my school also emailed us being like, hey guys, don't come. Just don't do that. Yeah, no. And that Friday, so I think it was the 12th. A lot of people say it was Friday the 13th. I was gonna go to school that day. Technically, I don't think I had class, but I just like going to school anyways, because, like, school is cool. And, like, why not just, I think just the working environment makes you work, obviously. So I was gonna go to school, and I was like, nah. My school kind of emailed me not to go to school, so I'll just listen to it, and I got to sleep in. And I remember a lot of people, like, I had some friends who went to school that day because some of them had Friday classes, and it was like, dude, like, no one's here. I'm scared. It's like a zombie apocalypse of sorts. So that was interesting, very interesting with that whole. So yeah, I think it's the 12th. If you think it's the 13th, then okay. It obviously depends on, as I said, where you are in the world. If you're, like, in Italy, it's obviously much different than, like, what I think of it is in California. You want to fight me on it? Go ahead. Let's fight. I don't know, I'm not too opinionated on it, but it's weird because I vividly remember Wednesday in particular and Thursday. Anyway, I think that's it for the Quarantine Podcast, Episode 1, Season 2, baby. Again, email me, also a podcast in 2 weeks, coming at ya. If you want the upload day to be Fridays, it's cool with me. If you're still here, I'll just tell you what the next podcast will be about. I'll be predicting things. I'm going to call up the Psychic Twins. I am just kidding. I won't. There's no guests, as I said. That's the plan. I hope you enjoyed episode 1. Okay. Also, ending things is kind of hard to do. So, anyway. Bye.